What if I told you that something as small as a single nut, something you've probably seen 1,000 times and maybe even ignored, could quietly be one of the most powerful daily habits to help reduce that sharp, burning, nerve-pulling pain shooting down your leg right now? And the craziest part is, most people living with sciatica never even think about it. You wake up in the morning, and before your feet even touch the ground, you already feel it. That tightness in your lower back, that pulling sensation in your hip, and then, like a warning signal, that electric pain starts traveling down your leg. Some days it's dull, some days it's unbearable. Sitting hurts, standing too long hurts. Even lying down doesn't feel like relief anymore. And over time, it starts to feel like this is just your life now, something you have to live with. But what if your body isn't broken? What if it's actually asking for something it's not getting? Because here's the truth most people don't realize. Sciatica is not just about your spine. It's not just about discs or posture or age. A huge part of nerve pain, especially chronic nerve irritation, comes down to inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, and how well your body is able to repair itself at a cellular level. And that's where this one simple habit comes in. Every single morning, before anything else, before your tea, before your breakfast, before you scroll your phone, eating one specific nut can start changing the internal environment of your body in a way that directly supports your nerves, reduces inflammation, and improves circulation. Not overnight magic, but something much more powerful, gradual, real healing that builds day by day. Now I know what you might be thinking. How can something so small make any real difference? But that's exactly the point. Healing doesn't always come from complicated routines or expensive treatments. Sometimes it comes from consistency with the right small action. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body when you have sciatica. Your sciatic nerve is the largest nerve in your body. It runs from your lower back, through your hips, down each leg. When this nerve gets irritated, compressed, or inflamed, you feel that classic pain pattern. But here's what's often overlooked. Inflammation doesn't just come from physical pressure. It also comes from what's happening in your bloodstream, your tissues, your diet. If your body is in a constant state of low-grade inflammation, your nerves become more sensitive. That means even small compression or irritation can feel like intense pain. On the other hand, when inflammation is reduced, your body becomes more resilient, and the same pressure may not even cause noticeable pain. This is why two people can have similar MRI results, but one is in severe pain and the other feels fine. So the real question becomes, how do you reduce inflammation consistently, naturally, without relying only on medications? And this is where that one nut comes into play. Almonds. Yes, simple almonds. But not in the way most people eat them. When consumed properly, especially first thing in the morning, almonds can act like a powerful anti-inflammatory support system for your body. They are rich in magnesium, vitamin E, healthy fats, and antioxidants. These are not just random nutrients. Each one plays a direct role in nerve health. Magnesium helps relax muscles and reduce nerve tension. A lot of people with sciatica have tight muscles around the lower back and hips, which can increase pressure on the nerve. Magnesium helps those muscles loosen up naturally. Vitamin E is a strong antioxidant. It helps protect nerve cells from damage and supports healing. When your nerves are inflamed, they need protection and repair, not just pain suppression. The healthy fats in almonds help improve circulation and reduce systemic inflammation. Better blood flow means your nerves get more oxygen and nutrients, which helps them recover faster. But here's the key detail most people miss. How you eat almonds matters just as much as eating them. If you just grab a handful of dry almonds and eat them randomly during the day, you're not getting the same benefit. The real power comes from soaking them overnight. When you soak almonds in water for 6 to 8 hours, something interesting happens. The outer skin becomes easier to remove, and more importantly, the nutrients become more bioavailable. That means your body can absorb them better. So in the morning, you take 1 or 2 soaked almonds, peel off the skin, and eat them slowly. Not rushing, not multitasking, just allowing your body to receive those nutrients first thing. It's a small ritual, but over time, it creates a big shift. Now imagine this. Instead of starting your day with inflammation-promoting habits like sugary tea, processed snacks, or skipping breakfast altogether, you begin with something that signals healing to your body. Day after day, this builds up. Within a week or two, you may start noticing subtle changes. Maybe the stiffness in the morning isn't as intense. Maybe you can sit a little longer without discomfort. Maybe that sharp shooting pain feels slightly less frequent. These are not coincidences. These are signs your body is responding. But I want to be very clear here. This is not a miracle cure. Sciatica is complex, and no single food can fix it overnight. What this does is support your body in the healing process. And when you combine this simple habit with a few other small changes, the results can become even more noticeable. For example, hydration plays a huge role. Your spinal discs need water to stay healthy and cushioned. If you're not drinking enough water, those discs can become less flexible, increasing the chances of nerve compression. Gentle movement is also important. Not intense workouts, not pushing through pain, but simple stretching and walking. Movement improves circulation and prevents stiffness from building up. Posture awareness matters too. Sitting for long periods, especially with poor posture, can increase pressure on the sciatic nerve. Even small adjustments, like sitting upright or using support for your lower back, can make a difference. But again, all of these work better when your internal environment is supportive, and that's what this morning almond habit helps create. Now let's address something else people often struggle with: consistency. It's easy to try something for a few days and then forget about it. But the real benefits come when you make it part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. You don't question brushing your teeth every day because you know it prevents problems in the long run. Think of this the same way. You're not just eating an almond. You're investing in your nerve health, your mobility, your comfort. And over time, these small investments add up. I've seen people who felt stuck with sciatica for months or even years start to feel relief when they focused on these foundational habits. Not because of one magical solution, but because they gave their body what it needed consistently. Another important thing to understand is that pain is not just physical. It affects your mood, your energy, your confidence. When you're in constant discomfort, it drains you. So even small improvements in pain can have a big impact on your overall quality of life. You might find yourself moving more freely, sleeping better, feeling less frustrated. And that creates a positive cycle where your body and mind start supporting each other. Now you might be wondering, why just one nut? Why not more? You can absolutely have more if you like, but starting with one or two keeps it simple and sustainable. It's not overwhelming, and it's easy to stick to. Plus, when you focus on quality and consistency rather than quantity, you're more likely to maintain the habit long term. And that's what really matters. Because healing is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things regularly. So tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, try this. Take 1 or 2 almonds, soak them overnight, peel them in the morning, eat them slowly. Pay attention to how your body feels over the next few days. This is not about blind belief. It's about observation, giving your body a chance and seeing how it responds. And while you're doing this, be mindful of the other small habits in your day. Stay hydrated, move gently, avoid sitting too long. Support your posture. These are simple things, but together they create a powerful foundation. Because at the end of the day, your body wants to heal. It's designed to heal. Sometimes it just needs the right support. And that support doesn't always come from big, dramatic changes. Sometimes it comes from something as small as a soaked almond in the morning. So if you've been living with sciatica pain, feeling like nothing is working, feeling like you're stuck, this is your sign to try something different. Not extreme, not complicated, just consistent. Give it a few weeks. Stay patient, stay aware, and you might be surprised at what such a small habit can do for your body over time. Because sometimes, the biggest changes start with the smallest actions, done every single day, without fail. And this is where something even more surprising starts to come into the picture. Something that most people dealing with sciatica completely overlook, and that is your vitamin B12 levels. Because what many people don't realize is that the health of your nerves depends heavily on this one specific vitamin, and when your body doesn't have enough of it, the symptoms you feel can start to look very similar to sciatica, or even make existing sciatica much worse without you even understanding why it's happening. You might be doing everything right on the outside, stretching, improving posture, even taking medications, but deep inside, your nerves may not be getting the support they need to function properly. And that's where vitamin B12 becomes critical, because this vitamin is directly responsible for maintaining the protective covering around your nerves, something known as the myelin sheath, which acts like insulation around electrical wires, allowing nerve signals to travel smoothly and efficiently without disruption. Now imagine what happens when that protective layer starts to weaken due to a deficiency. The signals traveling through your nerves become slower, distorted, and sometimes even painful. And this is where symptoms begin to overlap with what people recognize as sciatica. That tingling, burning, numbness, or sharp shooting pain down the leg can sometimes be intensified, not just by physical compression of the sciatic nerve, but by the fact that the nerve itself is already vulnerable and irritated from the inside. This is why some people experience severe symptoms, even when scans don't show significant nerve compression. Because the issue is not just structural, it's nutritional. And when your nerves lack the essential nutrients they need to repair and maintain themselves, they become hypersensitive, reacting more strongly to even minor triggers. Vitamin B12 also plays a major role in red blood cell formation, which directly impacts how much oxygen is delivered to your tissues, including your nerves. And when oxygen supply is reduced, nerve tissues can become stressed and inflamed, making any existing pain feel more intense and persistent. And over time, this creates a cycle where poor nerve health leads to more pain, and more pain leads to reduced movement, which further worsens circulation and overall recovery. Another important aspect that often goes unnoticed is how slowly vitamin B12 deficiency can develop. It doesn't usually happen overnight. Instead, it builds up gradually over months or even years, which is why many people don't connect their symptoms to it. They just assume their pain is purely mechanical, related to age, posture, or injury, without realizing that their body has been quietly running low on this essential nutrient for a long time. And what makes this even more tricky is that the early signs of B12 deficiency are often subtle. Things like fatigue, mild weakness, occasional numbness, or a slight burning sensation in the feet, which can easily be ignored or attributed to other causes. But as the deficiency progresses, these symptoms can become more pronounced, spreading up the legs, becoming more consistent, and eventually blending into what feels like classic sciatica pain. You might notice that your pain doesn't follow a predictable pattern. Some days it feels like it's coming from your lower back. Other days it feels more like a deep nerve discomfort running through your legs without any clear trigger. And this inconsistency can be a clue that something deeper is going on beyond just physical compression. There's also a strong connection between vitamin B12 and nerve regeneration. Your body is constantly repairing and maintaining nerve tissues, but without enough B12, this repair process slows down significantly, meaning that even minor damage or irritation can take much longer to heal, and in some cases, it may not fully recover unless the deficiency is addressed. This is especially important for people who have been dealing with sciatica for a long time, because chronic nerve irritation requires ongoing repair, and if your body doesn't have the tools it needs to do that, the condition can persist or even worsen over time despite other efforts. Diet plays a huge role here, because vitamin B12 is primarily found in animal-based foods like eggs, dairy, fish, and meat. And if your diet is low in these foods, or if you follow a strict vegetarian or vegan lifestyle without proper supplementation, your risk of deficiency increases significantly. And this doesn't mean those diets are wrong. It just means you need to be more mindful about getting enough B12 from other sources. But even people who consume animal products can still have low B12 levels, especially as they get older, because the body's ability to absorb this vitamin decreases with age. Stomach acid production may be lower, and certain medications can interfere with absorption, meaning that even if you're eating the right foods, your body may not be utilizing the vitamin effectively. Conditions like digestive issues can also play a role. If your gut isn't functioning properly, absorption of nutrients including B12 can be compromised. And this creates a situation where your intake might be adequate, but your levels are still low, which is why simply looking at diet isn't always enough. You need to consider how well your body is actually absorbing what you eat. Another layer to this is how vitamin B12 interacts with other nutrients involved in nerve health, such as folate and vitamin B6. These nutrients work together in various processes, including the production of neurotransmitters and the maintenance of nerve function. And when one of them is deficient, it can disrupt the balance and affect the overall system, making symptoms more noticeable. What's interesting is that many people start to notice improvements in nerve-related symptoms once their B12 levels are corrected. The tingling becomes less frequent, the burning sensation starts to fade, and the overall intensity of pain may decrease, not because the structural issue has completely disappeared, but because the nerves themselves are healthier and more resilient. This doesn't replace other treatments or lifestyle changes, but it adds an important piece to the puzzle, because you're not just addressing the external pressure on the nerve, you're also strengthening the nerve from within, making it less reactive and more capable of handling stress. You might also start to feel improvements in your energy levels, because B12 is closely linked to how your body produces energy at a cellular level. and when your energy improves, you're naturally more active, which further supports circulation, muscle function, and overall recovery, creating a positive cycle that benefits your entire body. It's also worth noting that stress can indirectly affect vitamin B12 levels. Chronic stress can impact digestion and nutrient absorption, and it can also increase the body's demand for certain nutrients, meaning that during periods of prolonged stress, your B12 levels may drop faster, which can then contribute to worsening symptoms. This is why a holistic approach is so important. You can't just look at sciatica as a single isolated issue. It's influenced by multiple factors including nutrition, lifestyle, movement, and overall health. And when you start addressing these areas together, the results can be much more meaningful and long-lasting. If you suspect that vitamin B12 deficiency might be playing a role in your symptoms, getting your levels checked can be a simple but powerful step because it gives you clarity. Instead of guessing, you can understand what's actually happening inside your body and take appropriate action based on that information. And if your levels are low, correcting the deficiency can be straightforward through dietary adjustments, fortified foods, or supplementation if needed. But the key is consistency, just like any other habit that supports your health. It's not about a one-time fix. It's about maintaining adequate levels over time so your body can function at its best. Another important thing to understand is that nerve healing takes time. Even after correcting a deficiency, your body needs time to repair and rebuild, so patience is essential. Small improvements may start to appear first, and over weeks or months, those improvements can become more noticeable. You might find that your pain becomes less sharp, more manageable, or less frequent. And while it may not disappear instantly, the overall trend starts moving in the right direction, which is what truly matters. This is also where combining this knowledge with your daily habits becomes powerful. Imagine starting your day with anti-inflammatory support like soaked almonds, staying hydrated, moving your body gently, maintaining good posture, and at the same time ensuring your nerves are getting enough vitamin B12 to repair and function properly. Each of these actions may seem small on their own, but together, they create a strong foundation for healing. And this is what many people miss when they focus only on one aspect of their condition. Because your body doesn't work in isolation, everything is connected. Your diet affects your nerves affect your movement affects your circulation, and your circulation affects how well your body can heal. So when you start supporting your body from multiple angles, the results can feel completely different compared to trying one thing in isolation. And perhaps the most empowering part of all this is realizing that you have more control than you might have thought. You're not just at the mercy of pain or dependent only on external treatments. There are internal factors you can influence every single day. Something as simple as paying attention to your vitamin B12 intake, being aware of your symptoms, and making small, consistent changes can shift the trajectory of how your body feels over time. Because sometimes the difference between ongoing discomfort and gradual improvement is not a major intervention, but a missing piece that finally gets addressed. And for many people dealing with nerve-related pain, vitamin B12 turns out to be that missing piece that was quietly affecting their body all along without them even realizing it. And this is where things get even more interesting, because there's another hidden connection that most people never think about when it comes to sciatica pain, and that is what's happening inside your gut. Because your digestive system is not just about breaking down food, it actually plays a powerful role in controlling inflammation throughout your entire body, including the nerves that are causing you pain right now. Inside your gut lives a massive community of bacteria, often referred to as your gut microbiome. And these tiny organisms are constantly interacting with your immune system, helping regulate how much inflammation your body produces. And when this system is balanced, your body knows how to keep inflammation under control, allowing your tissues and nerves to function smoothly without excessive irritation. But when your gut health is out of balance, which can happen due to poor diet, stress, lack of sleep, or frequent use of processed foods, something changes. Your body starts producing more inflammatory chemicals than it should. And this creates a low-grade, chronic inflammation that spreads throughout your system, quietly affecting different parts of your body, including your sciatic nerve. Now think about this for a moment. If your nerve is already being compressed or irritated physically, and on top of that your body is in a constant state of internal inflammation, the pain you feel is naturally going to be more intense, more persistent, and harder to manage, because you're not just dealing with a structural issue anymore. you're dealing with a whole-body inflammatory response that keeps amplifying the signal. This is why some days your pain feels worse, even when you haven't done anything different physically, because inflammation levels in your body can fluctuate based on what you eat, how you sleep, and how stressed you are, and your gut is right at the center of controlling all of that. There's also something known as intestinal permeability, often called a leaky gut, where the lining of your intestines becomes slightly compromised, allowing unwanted particles to enter your bloodstream. And when that happens, your immune system reacts by triggering inflammation. And this ongoing immune response can make nerve tissues more sensitive and reactive. So even though the problem might seem like it's in your lower back or leg, part of the reason it feels so intense could actually be coming from your gut environment. And this is why focusing only on physical treatments without addressing internal health can sometimes lead to limited results. Another key point here is how gut health influences nutrient absorption. Because even if you're eating healthy foods, if your gut isn't functioning properly, your body may not be absorbing important nutrients effectively, including those that are essential for nerve repair and anti-inflammatory processes. Nutrients like magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and certain vitamins all depend on a healthy digestive system to be absorbed and utilized properly. And if that process is compromised, your body is essentially trying to heal without the materials it needs, which slows everything down and keeps you stuck in that cycle of discomfort. Your gut also produces certain compounds that directly affect your nervous system, including neurotransmitters and short-chain fatty acids, which play a role in reducing inflammation and supporting nerve communication. And when your gut bacteria are balanced, these compounds are produced in the right amounts, helping maintain a calmer, more stable internal environment. But when that balance is disrupted, the production of these helpful compounds decreases, and harmful substances may increase, tipping the scale toward more inflammation and more nerve sensitivity, which again feeds into the intensity of sciatica symptoms. You might even notice that after eating certain foods, your pain feels worse. Maybe it's after a heavy, oily meal, processed snacks, or sugary drinks. And while it may not seem directly connected, these foods can trigger inflammatory responses in your gut, which then ripple through your body and affect your nerves. On the other hand, when you start including more gut-friendly foods in your diet, things can begin to shift. Foods like yogurt, kefir, fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, and fermented foods help support the growth of beneficial bacteria, which in turn helps regulate inflammation more effectively. Hydration also plays a role here, because water supports digestion, nutrient transport, and the overall function of your gut lining. And even mild dehydration can slow down these processes, making it harder for your body to maintain balance. Stress is another major factor that connects your gut to your nerve pain, because when you're stressed, your body releases hormones that can disrupt digestion, alter gut bacteria, and increase inflammation, creating a chain reaction that eventually affects your nerves. This is why managing stress, even in small ways like deep breathing, short walks, or simply taking time to relax, can indirectly help reduce the intensity of sciatica symptoms, because you're calming the system that influences inflammation at its core. Sleep also ties into this connection, because poor sleep can negatively affect gut health and increase inflammatory markers in the body. And when your body doesn't get enough rest, it has a harder time repairing tissues, including nerves, which means pain can linger longer and feel more intense. So when you start looking at sciatica from this perspective, it's no longer just about your back or your posture. It becomes a bigger picture where your gut, your diet, your stress levels, and your daily habits all play a role in how your body experiences pain. And this is where small daily choices start to matter more than you might think. Because every time you choose foods that support your gut, every time you stay hydrated, every time you manage stress even slightly better, you're influencing the internal environment that determines how much inflammation your body produces. Over time, these small changes can start to reduce the overall inflammatory load in your system, and when that happens, your nerves become less irritated, less reactive, and more capable of functioning without sending constant pain signals. You may not notice a dramatic change overnight, but gradually, things can begin to feel different. The pain may not spike as easily, the discomfort may feel less sharp, and your body may start responding better to other treatments and movements you're doing. And when you combine this with everything else you're already learning, like supporting your body with the right nutrients, maintaining gentle movement, and building consistent habits, the effect becomes even stronger. Because now you're not just treating the symptom, you're supporting the systems behind the symptom, creating an environment where your body can actually start to calm down and recover, instead of staying stuck in a constant state of irritation.